What's going on, everybody? You're tuning into the Attack on Anime podcast, episode number 8. And my name is Thisvthattv, and I'm here with my other co-host.
Hey guys, I'm Tony the BlackCriticGuy, here back. So I wasn't here last week. Lost shipment going down, that's all I can say about that.
Yes, and since Black said that I needed personality in my name, I officially changed it to Heavenly Asswipe for the podcast. So when you guys reference me, you just call me Asswipe, and then I'll know who you're talking to. So
damn, that is one harsh way of calling you up, man. Hey, Asswipe, what you doing today?
Black could not be with us. Decided to not join us this evening. So we will be joined by another special guest who should be joining us later in the podcast. But first, let's jump right into the news stories. First, we have the anime market, manga market has broken its own record. It's increased its sales by 4% from 2013, which means that the market is growing. So, what do you guys feel about that, or how do you guys feel about that?
It's like anime and manga, right?
I'm pretty sure. It just says manga book. Manga book market rises.
Manga? No.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like, and the weird thing is I'm not really. I wish I could get more into manga. I actually don't read that much manga, to be honest, because it's like for manga, if I read it, it's like I'll read it on my phone, and then I gotta like zoom in and look at all the different panels and stuff, and then when I'm reading it like at home or something like that, it's just no. I'd rather watch anime, so I don't really get that much in manga. Like I have to order like the volumes or something like that, but I don't really do that much either. So I'm not much of a reader, but maybe if they here's what I think the thing is though, with like the increased manga sales, I'm hoping what this will do is just like make it easier to market manga, because a lot of times it's not necessarily that I don't want to read manga, it's just that it's not as accessible. Like it's not easy to find out which are the popular manga that are new, or sometimes they'll be like 700-800 chapters in or some crazy shit like that, and you're just like, whoa, where do I start? Like I don't want to get into this, and it's like it'll take me forever to catch up. So yeah, that's probably something that I'd like to look forward to, is seeing. I like to see manga become bigger, like kind of like the way books have become really big amongst like teenagers in the past. I'd say like 10 years or something, with like Harry Potter and Game of Thrones and shit like that. So yeah, so the same way that anime is growing, now we've got manga becoming more popular. So we just need that one manga that will just become so popular that people will start reading again, but they have to like wait before making an anime, because like when people make a manga to an anime, they're like, well, fuck it, I don't gotta read the manga now, I can just watch the anime. So yeah.
Yeah, they always like end like right in the middle of the manga, like the anime right in the middle. They're like, go read the manga. Like
yeah, or like when the anime gets cut off, and now it's like, well, I gotta read the manga, but now you have to like sift through the chapters to find your spot, and well, people don't got the attention spans to do all that.
Pisses me the hell off. But I mean, it's good to hear that manga is like boosting up 4%. That means more people are buying book. Like, by the way, is this like digital download or like the hard copies?
It says book, so I'm pretty sure it's the hard copy.
Well, I mean, that in itself is pretty interesting, since we do live in like the digital age. So to see like the book sales increasing, that's interesting in itself. I have a lot of respect.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but either way, they're being purchased legally. So either way,
purchased is the thing.
I mean, let's put aside.
Yeah, so they're being purchased. Then they make.
Yeah. I mean, what I was saying is, like, let's put aside the fact that it's hard copy stuff, just the fact that people, like, niggas are reading, like, the fact that it's written down stuff. I mean, it's like, I don't know if it's like a light novel type thing or a manga, but even with manga, with pictures in every page, there's still lots of reading, like, sometimes paragraphs and stuff. So the fact that people actually sit down and read shit, like, that's a victory in and of itself. It's like, our generation has not died off, like, we're not going illiterate like people think we are with this digital age. We're still reading. We're still going strong. So yeah, it's like,
we're still up.
Granted, it's manga, but it's better than nothing.
And then also,
hey, it's better than nothing.
But then also, if you watch a lot of
anime,
you're reading all the time anyway, so you're boosting your vocabulary that way. But yeah.
My opinions on it is pretty similar to both of you guys'. I'm not a huge manga reader. I'm actually planning on picking up some manga volumes this summer, and then trying to read through those. But as of right now, I'm more excited because more manga sales equals more anime being created, because manga is more popular. Right. So it's like, this is going to lead to more anime, and I watch anime, so I'm excited about this this news. And I think the big thing is, this is the second year in a row that the sales have increased, if I'm reading it right. Like, it's been rising for the past 2 years, so that's just good for the industry as a whole. Yep. But next on the list we have the Attack on Titan theme park was unveiled in Universal Studios Japan. So it has Attack on Titan attractions and exhibits. It looks like.
Well, see,
What
when
do
I
you guys
looked
think
at
about
it,
that?
in more depth at it, from when they initially showed it, it almost looks like it's not even like a theme park. Almost like it's just a park with Attack on Titan themed just statues and stuff. Because I think it was whose YouTube channel was it? It was Nerdist, I think, with Jessica Chaba and all that shit, and they were showing it, and there was only two things. There was a tunnel, it was a Titan mouth tunnel, and then a statue of Aaron and Annie kicking each other, and I was like, well, that's it. I was thinking roller coasters and shit and everything, but I mean, it's still cool to see that kind of stuff. But Japan people in Japan, they're gonna have all their anime things like that. When they start having Japanese statues built in America, that's when we can start making a big deal out of this stuff. But but I mean, it's pretty cool though.
You never know. The wind is blowing that way, so we have to
I'm waiting
for
that.
Now.
I'm waiting for that Attack on Titan Six Flags roller coaster. That's when I'll have that on deck. I'll be up in there. So yeah.
I guess theme park was mature. Actually, it's more of just an attraction. It has statues, little exhibit things, as well as it has its own food menu too. It has Attack on Titan themed food, from what I'm saying, as well as merchandise.
Would you like human on a bun?
No, it's like a Universal Studios theme park. The Universal Studios has rides, but not really. It's more of a glorified museum. So that's the way I see it. Because I remember when I went to Universal Studios and they had one roller coaster and it was 5 seconds long. That's probably how the Attack on Titan theme park is. It's more of an exhibit, something like that. So yeah, I mean it's cool. Yeah, it's not something that I would care to go to. It's not that extreme, but maybe they could build upon it, and do more with it later on. But yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
I'd be afraid to go, so I'm oh no, that's actually spoiling part of the anime. Yeah.
So Tony, what do you think of this?
I thought they were cool pictures. I saw too, some people would put themselves in the hands. That's exactly what I would do too. So I just want them to bring it to America though, so I can do it too. I get to have fun as well. Shit. Come on, Universal, just buy it. Just buy the rights already, so we can do it. Shit.
Actually, yeah.
In fact, you know what? You know what they need to do? Universal needs to have their own little anime land, and just have different anime statues like they have, in what's it, Marvel Town or something similar to that. They need to do that, and I would go to Universal every single day so I can ride all the rides and do all the shit. It has to happen. Come on, Universal, make it happen, and then give me my royalty check for coming up with the idea.
Yeah, we just need to get a Funimation theme park called a day. Just have fucking Attack on Titan rides and what other anime? We could have
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. Put on Dragon Ball Z gloves and beat the shit out of each other. All that good stuff. I'd sign up for that.
It sells itself. It sells itself. They need to do it right.
Fans and old Toonami fans. I think that's the main problem, would just be marketing it to a broader audience. But I think like somebody said, I think it was UHC, but that's the market is shifting this way. A lot of things are coming more to America, whether it be more anime or more manga. So this, I think that an actual attraction or theme park is fairly far off and might not ever happen. It's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Bring it to America. That's the last thing I'm gonna say. Bring it to America.
Yeah. Done.
So
what was the other thing that what was the other thing you were talking about that my freaking line isn't even the under the dog thing you were talking about?
Yeah, I was gonna give me this segue to that, not so gracefully, but the crowdfunded project Under the Dog had its founder, one of the animation studios, I think the main one running it, Creative Intelligent Arts, has left the Under the Dog project. It was actually founded by Kickstarter last year. It asked for $500,000 and raised over $800,000. So it was successfully funded, and it has a lot of big people behind it, such as I'm gonna butcher the names, Masahiro Ando, who worked with Hanasaku Iro in Blast of Tempest, as well as Jiro Ishii, who worked with 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, the visual novel game, and a lot, as well as Yosuke Kazakai from Fire Emblem Awakening is working on the character design. So they have a lot of big names working on this project, and this has also been dubbed something that could save anime by a lot of people. And there was a lot of hype surrounding it
I
late
need to
last
take a
year.
glance at this thing because I don't even understand like how
Save
I don't
anime?
understand
That
how
was
something
what
can
some
be
people were
like.
saying. It was a big hype train when it first came out, but of course people were exaggerating. But the creative intelligence arts, who was one of the big people behind it, have stepped down, and this may affect the way things are happening. I was reading through the Kickstarter comments, and some people were worried, some of the backers, about the direction the project was going. So I was wondering if you guys had heard about this project and what's your opinion on it.
Well, what I was about to say was that I don't understand how some people could put so many eggs in the basket of something that hasn't even came out yet. Like, how is it like a manga that's being adapted into an anime, or is it just, if it's a Kickstarter, it sounds like it's probably just something just being pulled out of the hat. So I don't know.
I think it's, it's just all original project that they're working on.
I mean, I'm looking at the trailer right now. It looks cool. I don't know. Like, it's not really anything plot related. It's just like people on motorcycles. Looks like Akira or some shit. But I mean, it is what it is. It looks interesting. But
Did you say
I'd have to look more into it. I've never heard of
motorcycles?
this. So I don't know what makes it so amazing.
Did
Well,
you say
it's the
people
main
on
thing.
motorcycles?
Well, go ahead, Tommy.
Oh,
Okay,
no,
it's trying to
I think I
follow.
was breaking
Yeah,
up there.
see, it's just like I said. I'm sitting here reading here on Anime News Network. It says it's trying to follow the tradition of Akira and Ghost in the Shell, old science fiction anime. Oh, can't read today. Let's see. It takes place in 2025 in Neo Tokyo. Neo Tokyo. I feel like every futuristic anime uses that name, like Neo Tokyo. Okay. 5 years after a terrorist attack. This sounds like the plot of every anime that I've ever watched, though. I mean, how is this going to be? Like, you know, futuristic Japan that takes place after a tragedy. That sounds like Code Geass. That sounds like Dead Man Wonderland. It sounds like Zenkyo no Terror. It sounds like every anime I've ever watched that takes place in Japan. So, I mean,
That's some criticisms people have had about it that I've read. Some people have criticized it as not being incredibly original, but I think the main hype is behind like the people that are making it, but like, and that's the thing, and then creative intelligence arts has just stepped down, and like there's been a lot of hype around it, and it's died down because I don't think there's been a lot of updates about it until this thing just came out, like yesterday or a couple days ago. So. It's an interesting thing to think about, and a crowd-funded thing actually being made into a series. And from what I remember from reading the Kickstarter page, it wasn't even going to be like a series. Like, I think maximum they would only have the budget because they had stretch goals on their Kickstarters. Like, if they got funded to $500,000, they'd have one like episode, like one 22-minute episode, and then if they made like 750,000. They get like 2 20-minute episodes or something like this. So like, it's not even like a really long project. Like, I think it's just this really like these few short episodes that they have planned, and I think they're still accepting donations. But I just think that it's an interesting thing, and then so a lot of people will be worried because one of the people that were initially behind it have now left the project, and they're wondering about the effects that it'll have on it.
I mean, I can see how it's being a big deal considering that it's made so much money for however weird reason. Like, just the fact that it made that much money is impressive enough to me, not knowing anything about the anime. And then also, if the people that are behind it are people with good, backgrounds and they've made good anime in the past, then I could see that. Like, if I heard that the creator of Cowboy Bebop was making a new anime or something like that, then I'm just going to instantly think, oh, yeah, I'll put money into that Kickstarter. So, yeah, if it's something like that, I can understand. So, from what it sounds like, the person or the people that are behind this anime that was supposed to make it good with good backgrounds, those are the people that are left, or at least some of them left, and so now they're trying to feel like, well, this anime that we thought was going to be made isn't going to be made now, at least not in the same quality that we were expecting, because the people who we put our backing behind are the people now that are leaving. Is that what it is? Like, the main head honchos, the ones that are leaving the project?
Well, a Creative Intelligent Arts, from what I understand, they were the people that were managing the project, and now that they've left, it's being managed by Kinema Citrus, and they're now going to manage it. And they're the people that behind them are people that have made stuff like Hack Sign, Please Teacher, and Kanan, and so they're going to replace Yara, who is the CEO of Creative Intelligent Arts, as the producer. about this guy named Koji Morimoto. So apparently a lot of people aren't too worried about it, but at the same time, it's like when one of the main people that produce, like, their name is on the trailer, like they're the first logo that comes up in the trailer. Now they're not a part of the project anymore. So
yeah, that's actually a common thing. Like, I remember I'll Know Zero, the actual guy who wrote the plot for I'll Know Zero, only wrote the first episode and then didn't appear in the rest of the series, but it was marketed as his anime, so that's a common thing. So we'll just have to wait and see in terms of that. I never heard of it, but now that I've heard of it now, then I might give it a shot. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. There's not really any telling of how good it's going to be, whether it's going to be good or bad, until we see what it looks like. So, yeah. That's all I got for that, yeah.
Pretty much summed up everything I was going to say.
Hey, Tony, were you even interested in this anime? Because I know you're always watching your freaking slice of life anime and your romance or comedies and all those things.
Just because I like romantic comedies does not mean I'm limited in my viewing of anime. I watch all animes. So,
yeah.
And honestly, I'll be honest, I haven't heard of this anime at all. It looks interesting, although when the minute you said that it's about these people on bikes, for some reason I just thought card games on motorcycles. For some reason.
Freaking
go back to freaking Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge. Card games on motorcycles.
That shit was that.
But and then going back to what Thisvthattv said, you know, about the whole this anime is supposed to like bring back this anime, like, or bring back anime to its original form, which is weird.
Yeah, that was the hype train. I'm not saying that was representation of everybody that backed it, but I heard some people and read some comments like, "Oh my gosh, save anime," stuff like that. Just hype train stuff.
And then also, well, what I think that sounds like is they're kind of referencing it to being the fact that, well, maybe it's going to go back to the old tropes of like the old way the anime was made, to where it was more intensive on plot and storytelling rather than just explosions, tits, and stuff like that. So maybe that's what they're talking about. I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me.
I think that's what they mean to, actually. But yeah,
like a freaking Studio Ghibli quality of anime is what they want to see out of a series. Yeah.
There you go. Everything has been said.
I think that's pretty much all we have to say about that topic now. HC, can you talk to the guest and see if he's maybe see how close he is to actually being here? Because we've
been it's been like 18 minutes at this point or something like that. So
yeah, 20 or so.
He doesn't have to drop in right when we get into the topic. He can just kind of...
No, definitely not. I was just saying to make sure. But the main topic we're getting into today is old anime versus new anime. And I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about was which one do you guys prefer? If you guys like the old classics like Bebop, Trigun, or stuff like that, or the newer stuff that's coming out.
Oh, okay, we'll see. The main thing that like brought me up to like think of this topic is that it depends. It's like it's not like you like one over the other. It's just certain things you like about the others. It's like trying to compare a movie of this generation, like Transformers or Avatar or something, to fucking Pulp Fiction or Kill Bill from like a long time ago. I'm gonna like certain things about Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction and other Quentin Tarantino movies that are way older, just for certain things that they had, as opposed to special effects and just the modern generation. I think that a lot of the anime these days isn't necessarily, like I said, it's just like explosions and tits. It's not focusing on story and plot as so much as it's focusing more on just the animation quality and the fact that they can make fights look really cool and things like that. And while to an extent that's pretty cool and everything, but then there's still things like Trigun and Cowboy Bebop and just those old shows that or even not even that old, maybe even shows like Code Geass or something like that. Just those shows where they focus more on different elements. Like it was almost like an artistic way of approaching things when they made these older shows. So that's why I kind of see how it kind of depends. It's kind of a give and take. It's kind of a double-edged sword. You get this better animation quality and all this stuff. And I noticed that too, that they cling a lot to the fight scenes and a lot to the fan service, even if it's just tiny little sprinkled elements of it in there. So because when you and also think about how much anime they had back then, like there's shit tons of anime nowadays, but when I think about like let's say like 10 years ago, the anime that showed on Toonami and things like that, there weren't as many anime, and the anime was for what it was. Like when you think about when most of the old anime you think back on, they're pretty classics. Like you're like, that's a good anime. There aren't a lot. I mean, there are some. Don't get me wrong, but there aren't as many anime that you could look back at like from 10 years from now and be like, that anime was shit. As opposed to you could probably make a whole freaking library of shitty anime nowadays. So that's also another thing. Is just some series may seem like they're good, but it's just the fact that it's just the high capacity, the high saturation of anime, so it's easy to find a good anime amongst the amount, as opposed to there weren't as many anime and most of them were good. So that just goes to show maybe more effort was being put into those older anime. The fact that there was a higher percentage of them that were actually really good and actually had a lot of episodes, and nowadays anime, they can just make 12 episodes of some random bullshit and, you know, cash out of it. So it kind of decreases that motivation, because it's not like back in the day where it's we make this anime and it's a hit, it's this or bust. If it's not good, then we lost out. But now it's like people can make an anime just by putting it up on Kickstarter. It's easier. It's more accessible to make an anime now. So it's kind of like it gives it more free reign to do what you want. And so people don't want to explore those artistic venues. They want to stick to the fan service and the action scenes that they know are going to get audiences. It's like it's basically like the anime industry has been codified in a sense. The fact that they just don't want to experiment with anything because they know what gets fans and things like that. So, but I mean, it's one of those things you can't really help. It's just how our generation is, I guess. We want to see explosions and tits. But yeah.
Truth.
So yeah, I mean, I think like
what do you define as old anime? Like, because you said old versus new anime. It's like, what do you consider?
I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to call it old anime in particular, but more rather, and kind of what you were saying about this. What was it? Under the Dog? Is that what it's called? Just the whole, just the like the direction they take, the way, like the, how do you put it? Just the way that they do the anime, like the fact that they don't focus on. I'm sure that it'll be in there. Like one of the anime that I watched recently that I think was more like an older anime is an anime like Terror in Residence, the anime that came out that was made by the Samurai Champloo guy. Yeah, Zanki no Terror, yeah. So that series, I think it focused a lot more on, like, there's an underlying plot, and some people, that might not resonate with them. They might watch this and be like, where are all the fan service and relationships? Where's all of the awesome fight scenes? Like, there's cool things here and there, but they're only giving it to you, like, little by little. There's not just, like, grand-scale stuff happening all the time, but they actually sit down and try to tell a story, and there's literally absolute, I don't think, there's, like, zero, like, fan service in it at all. There wasn't anything like that in the anime, because that's not what they were trying to do. They took it seriously, kind of like how who was it? Miyazaki was saying that the anime industry is dying because they're not resorting to actually trying to tell a story in their anime. They're actually just, you know, playing off of the tropes that get audiences, and they're just making just random stuff now. So that's kind of what it seems like to me. But at the same time, like I said, the animation quality, the action scenes, like, I'm not going to take that away, the fact that that makes the anime enjoyable to watch. So, but it's sacrificing actually telling a good cohesive story for more fights and just making it look pretty. Just using, like how I said, like with movies nowadays, you can come out with a movie with awesome special effects that is shitty in comparison to other stuff that we've watched. But if you were to take it, like if you were to think of some, just, I don't know, what was this one movie I saw a trailer for? The Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. That movie looks like shit, but I'm sure if you took that movie and put it 20 years in the past with all the special effects, people are like, this is fucking amazing, this is the best thing I've ever seen. But if you take it and put it in this generation, people are going to look at it and be like, this is garbage. So that's how a lot of anime, I think, are now, is that if you put them in an older generation, then people would see it and just see the animation quality and just see how awesome it is and like it. But now in a like a generation where we're oversaturated by that stuff, and we see this and it's just, we're just like, let's go back to the old stuff. This is just too much. This isn't good. There's no story. In the same way that people will talk about an older movie and be like, it's better than movies aren't as good nowadays. There's no original content. Everyone's just copying other ideas from other things that have been popular. No one's coming up with their own stuff. No one's taking those risks anymore. So, but when I think of old anime, like I said, not necessarily even super old anime. Like, think of something even like Naruto. It's obviously not old now because it's still airing, but when Naruto first came out, it was an old anime. It wasn't necessarily old in the sense that, like, it was like back in the 90s or anything like that, but it was an older anime that didn't necessarily, and actually I feel as though Naruto was one of those first anime I saw that used, like, fan service to an extent, where they had sexy jutsu and things like that. But then even Naruto didn't use it that much. They didn't, like, just totally oversaturate that in the series. It was just, like, there every once in a while. And so I think that the little elements that, like, people kind of picked and chose what portions of series that got people's attention and then just put them into their anime now, and they just only have that, and then everyone's like, well, that works, well, that works, well, that works. And so it's just everything's kind of starting to turn the same. And while they're good, they're still the same. Like I even said in a review that I did of Aldnoah Zero, if you guys watched any of that, and there's so many comparisons to that anime and Code Geass. They're both mecha anime, and they use like a lot of the same plot lines. It's like these people are just copying each other. No one's coming up with their own original shit anymore. It's just everything's the same. So yeah, that's how I feel about how new anime basically is, as opposed to old anime. But like, it's not necessarily bad. It's just there's too much of the same thing, you know. So yeah, I mean,
still like what like old? Like if you had to define old and new, like by years, or are you defining by years or by style?
Draw a line in the sand and say this anime when it comes out this time. I don't know. I think it's just like there's some you could just say something like name some and just like say those are old anime like Rurouni Kenshin, Yu Yu Hakusho. What's another one? Like Tenchi Muyo, those older anime that were just like before we got into this generation of like Heaven's Lost Property is one of the anime that just seems like is a product of this generation, to where there's just it's literally the two core elements of that anime is just the action and the fan service, or that's just how I feel every anime is to some extent now. Like you still get some things here and there. Like I think Hunter x Hunter doesn't really. That kind of goes against the grain a little bit, but for the most part, a lot of series are kind of like that. It's not, like I said, necessarily the fact that the anime is old, but following the older like style of doing things, if that makes any sense. Like just I don't know how to explain it more than that, but looks like Pringle. Looks like he said he says it's like he's ready to join in, but
yeah, go ahead and send the link, whatever. I guess like Tony, you go ahead. I'll just wait. Go ahead, Tony.
Oh. Well, to answer your question about like where do I draw the line where it's old and new, the transition started in 2005. I'm not quite sure which anime it was, but I remember there was this insurgence of like different eye textures and different just ways that the characters were drawn. Story elements were a bit different. It was around that time that I started noticing, like, that's where the big shift happened. As for, like, which one's better, this or that, I mean, each one has their pros and each one is the old because we look back at the old. I mean, of course we do. And there are so many classics in the old. But the same thing's going to happen years from now. People are going to look back at the animes that came out now and say, oh, well, these animes were really good, or they had something that were better than what we had. It's the nostalgia effect,
Yeah.
You're always going to think that the thing that, preceded you or that came before you was better than what's offered now. And, as a person that watches anime frequently, one thing that I like to do is I like to see the quality of the anime and see what else it has to offer. I mean, Heavenly Asswipe over there brought up the fact that Heaven's Lost Property, was it's all about the tits and action. I would kind of disagree with that. It is heavily focused on the fan service. That is nothing I'm not gonna deny. I'm not gonna deny that at all. But there's more heart to it now and again too. I mean, they handle the drama pretty well, and as much as it does focus on fan service, it also heavily focuses on comedy. That's the purpose of the show. It's not supposed to be anything really more deeper than that. Some shows serve purposes for other things. You want, dark, gritty storytelling. I mean, you got Psychopaths. You got, Manglobe does a lot of them. What was that one? Ergo Proxy, or what's it called?
Elfen Lied? Is that what you think about?
Yeah, it's just, Death Note came out in 2007, right 2 years after the line of old versus new. So I'm just saying, like, there are always going to be those diamonds out there. You just got to look for them sometimes. It's not like they're all bad. I mean, hell, I can name a few bad animes from the classic era that just, holy crap. And, as much as they had limited animation, too, at least they utilized it to their, fullest. And now that we have bigger, better technology, we're also utilizing that to its fullest now. If we didn't, that'd be a damn shame, and what's the fucking point? So, when it comes to old versus new, I'm for neither. I love both equally, and each one has something to offer, Do I feel like the tone has changed dramatically? Yes. Would I like to see it go back? No, because if you go back, it's just you're not progressing the medium. You're just saying, well, it was better then, so let's just go back then. No, you got to progress the medium. And sometimes, you're going to hit that part of the road that's kind of like a roadblock. You got to take a detour. Maybe in 10 to 15 years we're going to get just classic after classic after classic, but we don't know yet. You have to wait and see. So that's my thoughts on that. What do you got to say, Thisvthattv?
Well, actually, this conversation is kind of different than what I expected from when Heavenly originally proposed it. So what I was originally thinking was more of what I hear a lot when I look at older like reviews or opinionated things about older anime. And a lot of people have said this question specifically, like there are some people, I don't think there's anybody here that feels this way, but that I've heard some people say that anime reached its peak in like the early 90s, early 2000s, like what they said, like people have even gone so far to say that Bebop is the greatest anime ever, and we will never ever reach that point again, which I heavily disagree with. But that's kind of the point that that I thought was going to be the main focus this week, and I'm glad it took an interesting turn, and that was interesting itself. So to touch on to that as well, in terms of like where I would draw the line itself. See, as a person that didn't really get really into anime until fairly recently, I guess I would have to say around 2005, 2006, because that was the time where the Naruto was becoming really popular on Toonami, and the big Toonami thing, especially like for me personally, that was like when the process of it started to start. So, and in terms of like the quality and the changes of it that's being made, like there's a lot of bad anime in both generations, the old and the new. There's plenty of bad in both, and I think a lot of people that say the old doesn't have that many bad is because a lot of the bad stuff didn't make it to America. They
have been forgotten by the mainstream.
There's plenty of bad in both. But in America you only got to see like the Bebops, the Triguns, the Shampoos, all that stuff. So you see a lot of, you saw the highlights, or at least the really popular stuff in America. So I think that's where a lot of that opinion is from. And my main thing is like the nostalgia effect itself. But I think that's a completely different subtopic that I actually wanted to talk about next as we segue. Any news about our guest, HC?
I don't know. He said he was coming, but then he hasn't joined our thing. But
so I guess as of right now, we'll just assume that he's not coming. But yeah,
assume.
Yeah, just assume. And if he pops in, cool. If not, then I guess we'll just go. The next thing I kind of wanted to have us talk about was the nostalgia effect itself, like specifically, because I know when you talk about it to a lot of people, I think especially people that don't watch a whole lot of anime. I don't know. Maybe I'm just. I don't know, whatever. But like, what do you guys think about the nostalgia effect itself and how it has like? Do you just revere a certain show because it was one of the first things you watched, like when you first got into it?
Oh, definitely. I think
higher level than you would something that you see today.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like that's a thing with everybody. I think that's definitely a thing. Yeah.
I mean,
were you gonna say
Dragon Ball Z is like one of the biggest nostalgia bombs for anybody. Pokemon, big nostalgia bomb. But if you really go looking back at those shows on the merits of their shows, they're not that good, story-wise or character-wise. So, I mean,
That's
Dragon Ball Z, they abandoned the whole, like, actually building character or at least focusing on strong storytelling for bloated action scenes that dragged on for way too long. But, I can't go and watch Dragon Ball Z and not be like, Goku is so awesome, man. Look at you. Flying in the air, fighting Frieza for 15 episodes. I love it. Awesome.
Charging the spirit bomb for 3 episodes, standing in one spot.
I remember buying those cassette tapes and watching it, and I look at it now and I'm like, Jesus. I was watching the same type of episode for like 5 cassette tapes. What the hell? But I can't help it. I love it, man. It's my childhood kind of thing. Same thing with Pokemon. Like, if you watched Pokemon when you were an adult, you wouldn't understand it for shit. So I went back and watched some old episodes, and I'm like, what? What in the world? Okay, I understand now, Mom, why you were looking at me very weird when I was singing the Pokey rap.
No.
So, but you know, again, we grew up with it. It's a part of our being now. It's not going to be replaced no matter what. It's the same thing with people who grew up in the '80s and love like the old Transformers and GI Joe and all that stuff, and then they see the remakes and they're like, it's not as good. Their nostalgia now blinds them from what's out there, you know. Unless it's truly shitty, like, you know, G.I. Joe, which is, we all understand. So,
Yeah,
that's what I gotta say.
yeah, I feel like that with, and like I was just talking about this before with somebody about how they're rebooting or they're bringing back the old Yu-Gi-Oh, like the original characters, and the first thing that came to mind was that my nostalgia is probably gonna blind, because I remember, I think, what was it? It was Netflix, and they had Yu-Gi-Oh episodes on Netflix. I was like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh, let me go watch some Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was watching, like, what the? This is the shittiest thing I've ever seen. I cannot watch this.
Why are there a bunch of adults playing a children's card game? There's no one.
Now I draw a card. Like, oh my god. So yeah, like definitely the nostalgia affects like how you look at something, and also what you said about Dragon Ball Z, I think is basically what, like I was saying, is what happened is that Dragon Ball Z probably initially started out like whatever it was, probably had a certain direction it was taking, then it went into just full-blown action and nothing else, and then you got people from America watching that, like, oh, that's cool, like, you know, all these brainless, one-track-minded people, and they got into that, and now other anime are looking like, oh, yeah, let's do that too. All we have to do is put in really cool action scenes, and people will like our series. But, yeah, that nostalgia definitely, I think, affects, like, how you look at something, and that's probably why a lot of people will say older anime are better, not necessarily because they're better, but just because they are just used to that certain form of anime. Not saying, like how I said, like I don't think necessarily older anime are better. Like I actually like a lot of newer anime that I like way more than old anime, but and then vice versa. I think it's just depending. It's just like a give or take. It depends on what kind of anime you're looking for. And then another thing that I noticed is that a lot of times people's nostalgia, it kind of like clouds in the way that they see what is good. Like a lot of times people will see characters that will characterize and fleshed out in a certain way in older anime, and then they'll always compare those characters to newer characters, even if they are actually fleshed out or are interesting characters or not interesting or fleshed out for that reason. Then a lot of times people will be like, oh, well, when I watched this older anime, when I watched Trigun, these characters were all fleshed out and they all acted this way, and this is how characters are supposed to act in an anime, and this abandons and goes against those tropes that I'm used to. And that's probably something else that I think is something that nostalgia affects, is that people they're always comparing older anime to newer anime. Because I know I do that with not just anime, but with things in general. I've always gone into like monologues about how, like, man, I've been looking at these new TV shows of these new cartoons, but like, this is garbage. This is nothing like Teen Titans. This is nothing like Samurai Jack. What is this garbage?
Yeah,
so like, and it probably is like for the generation that's marketed to, good, but just good in like for that audience, depending on if like that's just what they like. So I didn't grow up with that stuff, so that's just not that. Like honestly, I feel as though also that's another thing, is a person's interests are going to develop based on the stuff that they're exposed to. So if you're exposed to that older stuff, and then you go and see this newer stuff, and now they're trying to appeal to the people who started watching Dragon Ball Z and only like action in their anime, then you're gonna look at it and be like, this isn't like the older anime. This isn't, you know, it's not the same. It's not as good. So yeah, I mean, nostalgia I think is almost like a really strong part of that, really. So just this is a really strong part of just, oh, I don't like this because it's not like what I'm used to. It's not like the older stuff. Not necessarily better, but like how you said with the older anime, you would look at it like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or with Pokemon, it wasn't necessarily better. It was just like we liked it for the time. We were little kids, and that's just what we were looking for in an anime. And now we see it now, and it's just like it's garbage. So it's not really. It's like sometimes your nostalgia will like it'll have little cracks, and you look and see like, well, I don't know what I was thinking. This isn't better. So
I must have been high on some milk or something. Like, what did they put in my milk?
Man, all right, let me
I
see.
think Pringle showed up.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you that?
Here, hold on.
Oh,
it's really
there you go.
Your mic's muted.
Okay. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you.
All right, word. Okay, man. Whew, man, I was rushing here. I had to get a couple of things in Walgreens and stuff, and I ended up hitting like a parked car and shit. So I have a little.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We didn't say that on this recording. We didn't say that on this recording. You can't incriminate any of us.
Yeah, I'm glad y'all have me, man. I'm really excited. Shout out to you, Heavenly. Good. I feel it, man. Good thanks. I appreciate it, y'all. I really do. I really do.
I guess just to bring you up to speed on what's been going on, right? We started our main topic, and that is
Okay.
older anime versus newer anime.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And I guess to get your opinions on the first topic was, if you had to pick like a dividing line between like the older generation of anime and the newer generation, where would you put it? And do you prefer either one over the other?
Well, I mean, honestly, I just got done. Like, I'm literally rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, and that's pretty old. We could say it's pretty old. Like when we actually enjoy the old school like dubbing, which was actually good. And one thing I can say with a lot of old anime is the I guess the breasts that they always added in a lot of the new ones. And then there's also I believe that I would say that they put more emphasis in a plot. But then when we get a lot of the new generation anime, it's a lot of like generic content that we kind of see, like a lot of breasts, a lot of skirt, panty shots, all those kind of stuff that you see over and over. So what I do like with the old school is that it had a bit more plot, but then some, like now that I'm rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, it's like I see, how like back in those old animes where you had those fighting scenes and they would like always start punching and shit. It's like DBZ. And then when they punch, it would be like constant, like, bah, 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 like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at that and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that shit. And then you don't really get that now with the new stuff because, like now we have like the animation is like a lot better. I wouldn't say, like personally, I would say like the new stuff is a lot better. But then like there's that good portion of the old stuff where it's like that stuff right there, that's what made it. That's what made it worthwhile. So, yeah, that's what I got.
This goes to show that I have some level of like weight behind what I said because Pringle basically just said exactly what I said, like without even knowing hearing the conversation. That's basically exactly what I said, like in other words. Like it's not necessarily new anime is like worse, like the animation is better and shit like that, but it's like it's not like it doesn't have the same like I don't know like
it's like a
same
sacrifice
character, the same substance, I guess, I
don't have to cut you off, my fault. But it's like the sacrifice between animation and plot. Kind of like new stuff, like the animation looks great, but then they sacrifice like a lot of the character development, like what makes you get really attached with anime. Like how long, like we got attached to Dragon Ball Z, but then like what kind of made us attached to it was like the hundreds of episodes that was delivered, but it was like, okay, now we kind of get Goku's style. So then more than oftentimes when we like it grows and grows like that and we get attached, it's more easier for us to enjoy the content that we're getting as opposed to just like looking really good, but then it's like panty shots and then breast. That shit just going crazy with the anime. Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Yep.
I mean, again, though, it's. I feel like honestly, when you look at it, it looks like it's prevalent all the time, but it's the ones that get the most attention. Like when I go back to like my list in 2012, of the top 10 animes that I named, only at least 2 of them I know had heavily used, fan service in a sense, but they were very focused on story and were driven by a plot and had great characters. I would say like the cliches of anime definitely have become more prevalent than the animes themselves. That's why we know of them that much. But these cliches that we notice a lot, as much as they are prevalent, they're not always in every anime. It's just you gotta look for the right ones. Like it's kind of like what Thisvthattv said earlier about how the reason we don't know about all the bad shit that came out back in the past is because they were shit to begin with. So of course they weren't gonna be like, let's dub this. It's gonna be great. No.
Yeah. Now we can actually find the shitty stuff.
Like you would like have to go out of your way to go find them, and then be like, whoa, this is just complete garbage. So unless they're like the animes that are in the category of so bad that they're so good, you gotta see this shit. You can't believe what the fuck you're seeing. So again, it's all about like what you're looking for. If you follow the same motif, if you watch the same genre over and over again, you're gonna start noticing trends, and these trends will become more prevalent, and then they'll become just irritant. And then you're going to be like, what the fuck, man? Why aren't we trying something new with this? But if you mix it up, I feel like you'll find different varieties in anime. That's why, you know, I watch an action anime now, but then I'll go watch a shoujo and then I'll see something interesting. Or I'll go see a drama, but then I'll switch it up by seeing a comedy and be like, well, I really had fun laughing at that. And sometimes I'll see a really great anime, then I switch it up by seeing a really shitty anime, like Green, you know, like that. Just gotta switch it up. So,
Word.
what about
Yeah,
you?
okay, so yeah, no, what you said just kind of something that stood out to me is the fact that and I have to admit too is that both you and Thisvthattv, like when I look at your guys' reviews and videos and stuff, and I was like, because something I would probably never have thought to look at myself, like, let me take a look at that, and that's kind of probably what it is too, is that if you're somebody who only watches, like me, who predominantly watches action anime, and you're, so it's kind of like the stuff seems like it's all the same because you're kind of watching the same stuff, and you're not going. You have to kind of look for, like, there aren't necessarily, every anime doesn't follow those tropes. There's those different genres that don't necessarily are just totally oversaturated with the common stuff that we see, but you just kind of have to look for it. You kind of have to sift through the garbage to find it. And so I noticed too when I started watching a lot of anime of these different genres that I saw like you guys were watching, and the next thing I know I was like, that was good, that was so original, I've never watched anything like this. And then I found myself watching like several episodes in that genre, stuff that I probably never think to watch.
Yep.
And so now I think probably like a good majority of the anime that I've been watching recently haven't even necessarily been like shonen anime, or not necessarily like very heavily focused on those shonen aspects. So I've been like really getting a lot of all these different anime that it's not necessarily that they were that like they've always been around. It's just I never really thought to look for them. And so that's also something that I think if somebody's only used to watching the Dragon Ball Z's and the Bleaches and the Narutos, and they're just thinking, you know, anime's all the same, and that's definitely a thing for the mainstream audience too. A lot of people, they have a certain, I think, perspective on anime because they haven't watched a lot of anime. They don't realize it actually goes pretty deep. And like this isn't necessarily just old anime where it's like a lot more fleshed out characters and stuff like that. And kind of like how I said before, there wasn't as much anime, so that when the anime was fleshed out, it stood out more as opposed to the actually really good anime. There's a lot of anime. I think of so many. I started to think, and there are a good amount of anime that came out recently that actually have good plots and good story and things like that. But there's just so much garbage that it just
man, it's oversaturated, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the main thing about older anime and newer anime. With old anime back in the day, it was easier to find a good anime because there wasn't as much garbage, at least that we were getting here on Toonami. They only gave us the good stuff. They didn't give us the crappy stuff. We didn't have these catalogs on the internet where we could sift through and find anime on our own. So now we have nowadays, and we don't have. I mean, Toonami's still around, but most of that mainstream stuff that they have on Toonami nowadays is old stuff we probably already all watched. So now we're up to looking for our own stuff. And we're watching these anime that are like garbage because we're looking under the genre rather than looking for a good anime in terms of actually broadening our horizons and looking for stuff. Because think about Sailor Moon or Prince of Tennis or something like that. If that didn't show up on Toonami, no one would have watched that of their own virtue. It was one of the very few things they had access to, so they had no choice but to watch it. And so they're like, oh, this anime, it was so good, but they only knew it was good because they actually bothered to watch an anime in that genre. Or like Bobobo, I remember watching that. I was looking at Bobobo, I was like, I wouldn't have watched that. But then once I was exposed, I was like, this is amazing. Like, so yeah, it's definitely like it's almost as though I'm learning as I'm talking about it, is that the original content is out there. You just kind of have to look for it. You have to kind of put in the effort to find that kind of stuff, because that's happened to me in the past few weeks where I've actually explored other genres and found stuff that I previously would have never thought to look for, and it's actually some pretty dope shit. It's some pretty quality stuff. So yeah, I've been watching a lot more anime, the different like romantic comedies and stuff like that, and I don't care if my dad or my sister or my girlfriend walks through the room and looks at me watching frickin' Rosario Vampire and looking at me all weird and shit, like, what the fuck is this?
Anime,
oh, hey, it's good. You just gotta give it a chance. It's anime, okay? You don't understand. I'm so used to just watch. Ooh, people watching. Oh, what are you watching? Because I remember, like, my dad would walk by and be like, "Oh, what is that? What are you watching?" Well, I'd be watching fairy tales like that, and then all of a sudden, fan service, and it's like, "Whoa, what is this? What is this Witchblade that you're watching? What's going on?"
Witchblade. It just hurts.
Yeah, Witchblade. Butt breast, man. I don't even know what that shit about.
I guess I'll just reiterate kind of what everybody else said, because it was kind of my opinion to begin with. Is like, yeah, there's a lot of bad anime in both old and new. You have to kind of sift through and find the good stuffs. But I'm glad you brought it up, Heavenly, because like that's one thing where I'm glad that I've always watched a whole bunch of different stuff. So I've watched the actions, the romances, the comedies, the slice of lives, all the different genres. So like of course there are tropes in every single genre that are going to be repeated, and you'll notice them if you watch enough. But at the same time, if you are willing to broaden your horizons and watch different stuff, then of course you'll start seeing those tropes and stuff less and less often. But I guess to kind of bring Pringle to the topic we were currently discussing was the nostalgia effect and how anime from your childhood, how do you hold it in in a higher standard, a higher regard than you would a newer show just because you saw it when you were little?
Well, like I said, I'm rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, and I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. Like there's a part, like check this out. There's a little part that happened in Yu Yu Hakusho that it took like 2 episodes that sometimes we don't get in that new stuff. It's like he goes and trains with like I don't want to get too into it, but he goes and trains with the old lady Genkai Kai or whatever. He goes in there for 6 months. That was like you didn't even see it. Like it just boom, like the whole shit just next episode. I was like, damn, I thought I was gonna like what happened? And then I see like that nostalgic effect is pretty good, but then I don't hold that to me like when I watch new anime episodes or new series, because if I do, then like I'm gonna like be like, man, this ain't like Dragon Ball Z, and you can't compare everything to Dragon Ball Z because it's too super, man. You know, it's like everybody just blasting it, like. So then like when I see like a lot of the new stuff, then there are times where it's like, well, I mean, I feel that even with that nostalgic, it still wouldn't be the deciding factor in me to be like, well, this could be better, or you know, kind of like rewatching Dragon Ball Z and like with the new stuff, like they do Dragon Ball Kai, and then even though it's like condensed. It's like what 100 plus some episodes. I'm not about to sit 100 plus episodes just to get a nostalgic effect going. When like with a lot of new genres, which I believe they overlook, they're like 12 or 24 episodes, and you get a full plot, plenty of character development, and they use like each of those minutes they actually use a lot. So it's like, well, you didn't get a lot of that because sometimes in a lot of the old series they tend to work. They used to go like real fat, like really long. Like I remember there was like also like Dr. Slump, and I think that thing went like over like 100 plus episodes, and the same thing with like I forgot Doraemon or some shit. I don't know if anybody actually watched that, but like that nostalgic phase, it's not something that I hold. It holds me down. Like I get it. It's like man, like listening to the Yu Yu Hakusho open is like man, I remember that music. It's good stuff right there. You don't get that. Now I feel like new OPs for like all the new anime, I feel like they're all the same, man. Female singing, rock kind of music. But that's kind of like the trope, like Heavenly said. It's like the constant, or like if you rewatch, like BlackCriticGuy said, you rewatch the same thing over and over, you're gonna get it. So it's good to like change it up and all that stuff. But yeah, it's nothing like that. Like no.
Yeah.
I guess my thing on the nostalgia thing is I think the biggest nostalgia thing for a lot of people now is Dragon Ball Z, at least for me personally.
Yeah.
That's a big nostalgia thing for me. But even when I go back and watch it, I love Dragon Ball Z. But if I were to look at it and if I were to review it, if I were to like actually review it, I would not give it a great score.
I came this close.
It's like
I came this close to making a video called "Is Dragon Ball Z really a masterpiece?"
Yeah, man.
If I were to sit down and actually think like, okay, let's be honest here.
Yep.
What the fuck were we thinking?
Exactly.
Like I could watch it now. Like I could watch like a season or something, like one season, not the whole thing. Like I'll watch the Boo Saga or something, and I would enjoy it. But it's
find plot holes,
like too many damn episodes. Or I prefer just watch. I just be watching the abridged series, man. It has all the same action scenes, but it's got everywhere. That's what I prefer to watch. The abridged Dragon Ball Z. But no, what Pringle said is I think that's also a thing that I like about newer anime too, is that it's great to have a long series that can just totally flesh out characters over a long period of time and just have that certain level of progression over time that makes you really bond with those characters. But at the same time, you have to give props on these newer anime, the fact that, especially if it's not a higher budget studio and they're only making an anime based off of like their app or something like that, and they have to only make it to 12, 15 episodes or something like that, and so they actually managed to condense their story and their character development. I've watched some pretty short anime these past couple of weeks, in fact, that they were really short, but they actually did some good job of fleshing out characters in a little bit of amount of time. But at the same time, there's kind of a slippery slope. Like you kind of have to, like if a series is too short and it just gets cut off, what the fuck? I just got like you just dropped me off, especially when they don't actually end it, but they kind of just leave it at a cliffhanger. Like they just like, oh, now read the manga, like you said, read the manga to find out the rest. Or
Yeah.
at the same time, I like how like One Piece is an anime that I don't like that it's so many episodes. I like One Piece, but I literally skipped like when I started watching One Piece, it was like 400 episodes in. I'd skip over like 30 episodes at a time because I ain't watching all this filler shit. Like this is too much of that crap. So yeah, I mean, you can only do so much. That's another thing I think that I actually prefer about newer anime over older animes, that they're not so damn long, but at the same time, I don't like when newer anime are too short. Like, if I could think of a series that's the perfect length, I would think of something like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood had a good length.
Good
Like,
one right
what was
there.
it, like 50 episodes or something? Yeah, like it wasn't too short, but it wasn't too long. It was just enough episodes. So I like series like that, or Death Note, like how it was like 30-something episodes. I think so between the 30 and 50 range, that's like a good period for a show. I think between the 30 and 50 episode range is a good length for a series if you really want to tell a good story, because you don't want to sit for 700 episodes. Like I remember somebody was telling me, how come you're not up to date with all of the mainstream anime? I'm like, do you know how many hours?
Yeah, people are always gonna tell you that.
Like you know, it would take me like if I watched like 3, 4, 5 episodes a day, it would take me like 2 years to watch all this shit. Like I'm not doing all that. So that's another thing I like, is that you can kind of watch more anime nowadays because they're shorter and they tell good stories, but that also runs the risk of them not being able to establish characters and a lot of things like that. And that's also probably the reason a lot of shows, they do prefer to focus on the action and the fan service and the boobs in your face, because they only have so much time to grab your attention and entertain you, so they want to condense the action and put more of it, like kind of oversaturate that. And if you start to watch a lot of shows under the same genre that do that, then you're kind of feeling like you're getting a lot of the same thing. So I think that as opposed to older anime with newer anime, the thing that you probably have to do that you probably aren't used to doing if you've watched anime for a long time is, I think with new anime you have to watch other genres, because if you just watch the same genre, yeah, it's gonna feel like it's a bit gonna get repetitive, as opposed to back in the day you could watch all these different anime of different genres. They had a lot of episodes and there weren't as many, so you're not necessarily watching a lot of different series that are the same. Because think about that, if you watch 500 episodes of Naruto and it's all the same, well, it's the same damn show. Of course it's going to be the same. But if you watch 5 different anime that are 50 episodes long and they're all the same, then you're like, man, everybody's copying each other. But like, it's no different than back then when you were watching that one show that was the same. It was the accumulation of all those different shows. So, and I think that's kind of, I've kind of started to get into that like swing of things, like adapt to that, like trying to get into those different genres that I was a little bit hesitant on, because I was used to back in the day not having to do that because everything wasn't repetitive. They were longer and there weren't as many. So I think that if you're going to watch new anime and you're going to run into that complaint of, well, if you're going to make the argument older anime were more original, they were longer, and they fleshed out the characters more, you're gonna have to look for good anime. It's not gonna just plop on your lap. So yeah, I think that's basically how you have to approach the new generation of anime. It's not necessarily the art form is dying, it's just that there's more people in the business now. There's more of it, so you have to really look for good stuff. It's not like the Renaissance period of anime, or the whatever you like to call it during the 90s, where only the good people were making anime. Now everyone's making anime. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's probably what the major thing is for this generation, really. So yeah, watch more anime, different genres.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like we've talked about like this kind of sub issue a few times, and that's like the blending of genres into other genres. And I think that might be what a lot of people are saying, is like the whole fan service and ecchi elements blending into other things, and they're like, oh well, all new. I was like, honestly, when you watch enough, we talked about this in the fan service episode, you get desensitized to it. Like there's stuff like you barely even notice it anymore sometimes. Like, it's subtle, like you don't even notice it sometimes. Like, oh, there's another panty shot, or there's a shot. Like you kind of just get used to it. It's like I don't even let it affect it unless it's like blatant, right? Then like, okay, that just kind of broke the immersion. But other than that, it's like you just kind of just let it go. You just let it flow and ride with it. Another thing is, a lot of this anime people are talking about, I think, are the incredibly mainstream one. I'm pretty picky. I'm pretty picky when it comes to what I watch, because if I don't think I'll watch it, if I don't think I'll like it before I start watching it, I won't even try it usually. Or I'll try like one episode. If I don't like it, I'll just stop it. Probably like 3 or 4, and if I don't like it, I'll just stop it. So Because like you just have to try new things and not let your nostalgia or your preconceived notions of certain things affect how you view it. Be able to experience new shows.
True.
Yeah. Anybody else got anything to contribute to the whole thing of old versus new? I think we basically kind of said everything for the most part.
Yeah.
We summed it all
There are
up.
pros and cons
Very
on both
eloquent.
sides.
Check out both. I mean, sometimes I think if you actually do get into anime, you might as well try to see what started it and now what we got now. So then that way, you see, you're like, oh, man, I'm so glad with that shit we don't have it no more here. And maybe with that shit new there, it would have been cool if it was here. So it could be like that too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
you
that's
see
one
the
thing.
before and after. Like one of the yeah, watch a before and after picture, and you'll be like, damn, well, that wasn't that bad. But did we really need 600 episodes of that? Probably not. Probably not. You know what I'm saying?
Try to condense just a little.
Yeah, a little bit.
I guess that's one thing. I guess I'll ask you guys again is like, how often do you actually go back and watch older shows? Like I've mentioned before, I've gotten into anime fairly recently, so I haven't really gone back like pre 2005-ish. I haven't watched besides like stuff like Pokemon. I haven't watched a whole lot of stuff. Like I went back and watched Bebop. And a couple of other shows that were older back that came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s. But how often do you actually watch like older stuff?
I mean, it's kind of harder to go back when the series are so damn long, but
Well,
yeah,
like,
and also
there are plenty of shows that are older that are
Yeah.
decently length. Like you don't have to go and look for the 600 episode shonens. Like,
I tend to go back a lot because with the requests that I get, I have no limitation. I tell them, give me a request. A lot of them send me some good stuff from back in the old days, like, and they're like the traditional, like maybe 13 episode, 24 episode long animes, and they actually have some good qualities to them, you know. But to my everlasting shame, gentlemen, I have not seen Cowboy Bebop in its fullest. I've seen episodes here and there, but never in its entirety.
I actually
just got my Blu-ray that I got to get around to watching.
Because I like for me, Cowboy Bebop, I always saw it in like just like Ghost in the Shell. I've never really seen Ghost in the Shell because it always comes like in Toonami. They always like you get to episode 5 and then they start from episode 1. So then you never really saw the whole thing. And then like Ghost in the Shell, I never really seen the full thing of Cowboy Bebop. One that I do remember that was really good was Trigun. That like it was like 26 episodes. They even made a movie a couple of years ago. And that was a great anime, actually. I really did enjoy that. Main character was actually, like, he wasn't a bitch. He was, like, you know, he's actually, you know, somebody that you, hey, that's pretty cool. But, like, when it comes to, like, a lot of the, like, there's that. And I'm, like I said, I'm rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, and I'm actually enjoying it. I feel that it's quick. Like, it's not, like.
Oh,
like,
it's one of the most well-paced.
Yeah, it really is. That's why I'm actually enjoying it. Like, you got all those good ones, but then like you said, there's actually like because I've been watching anime since I was like, since I was like in middle school or like something like that. Yeah, so I watched a whole lot of old school anime, and there were some pretty good ones where they're only like 13 or 24 episodes that you would like. They're like made in like the early 2000s and in the 90s. Like there's an anime called Berserk. I don't know if you guys watched it. The first episode I watched, I was like, damn, it's pretty graphic, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look bad, and I think it was made like in the 80s and the 90s. And I was like, wow, look at 94, yeah. So I was like, damn, this is pretty good. Like you wouldn't have thought that it looked this good. It's too graphic. It's graphic as hell. Like first episode, some dude chops his fucking head off. This shit just flying. I was like, oh man, I guess we could say he never using head and shoulders. But yeah, it's pretty good. But I'm kicking it with this. There's some pretty good stuff out there though. Like we just gotta get past the Naruto's and the Dragon Ball Z's and the One Pieces and stuff like that.
And also, I think that one of the things that you get out of older shows that I noticed, because, you know, between going back and watching old stuff and then keeping up with the Joneses and watching all of the recent stuff and everything like that, it's probably what I think a lot of it kind of plays into that whole nostalgia thing is that when these older shows, like, they were probably the first shows to do these types of things. So if you haven't, if it wasn't the first thing you watched and now people are telling you to go back and watch it, it's like trying to explain to, like, the millennium generation why Tupac and Biggie were good rappers. But by the time by the time you've gone back and looked at their stuff, you've already listened to all this other stuff, so it just sounds like everything else. You're like, but man, they're the first ones. But it's like, oh, I don't care. That's not the first thing that I've heard. So, and then if you've watched all the new oh, Lil Wayne is better. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I noticed that. Like, sometimes I'll watch a show, and I admit, like some of these shows that are considered like classics, and yes, they are good shows, but I still don't think they're just like they're leagues better than the other shows.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
so,
a
like,
nostalgia effect again.
Yeah, they're not necessarily better. They were just probably like the first. Like they're classics.
That's what it is.
The classics. The ringleaders of that genre type thing. Yeah. So nostalgia just kind of can affect whether you like something, and it's not even necessarily a like conscious thing. It's just you when you think about that show, when you think about if you've watched the original stuff first, when you're watching the newer anime, you're gonna think about the elements that they took from the original stuff, as opposed to if you never saw the original thing, that's not where you're basing your comparisons of anime off of. It's because something that's not how it was geared into you as you're looking at it. So it just depends on, you're gonna like new anime if you haven't watched the old anime, and you're gonna like it better, and then vice versa. So it just depends on the generation of anime you grew up with, as opposed to which anime you prefer over.
Kind of like that whole thing about when people heard Kanye's new song and like, who is this new guy? Paul McCartney. He's gonna make it big. I can tell already. I'm like, you fucking idiot. I've never been more ashamed at the music generation of that moment. I mean, you know, they've been getting shit after shit, but at least I was like, okay, well, at least they're competent, right?
Yeah.
That competency just went out the window. So,
true.
Great.
I guess if that's that's it for that topic, we'll go ahead, and before we leave, I want to know what everybody is watching right now and what it's about. And to give you your quick thoughts on that.
I'm watching All About That Bass. It's about this girl named Miss Trainer, and she's all about that bass too. I didn't give her no treble. Right now, I actually just finished 1 Week Friends. It's actually a really, really decent story. Again, going back to switching it up, I'm a big fan of romantic comedies, and I think that for at least an anime, if you want stories that are very character-centric, you want to go for like romantic comedy / romance, because that's the whole appeal of a romance. You got to make sure the characters are interesting. You fail in that, you're fucking done. You got nothing else to offer. But I'm watching that. It's about this kid named Hasu, something like that. Hasu Yuki, who he's trying to befriend this girl who loses her memories every Sunday, so she doesn't remember anything that happened the week before, and basically it's just following him as he tries to befriend her each and every week and kind of regain her memories and all that stuff. It's really cute, like, oh, the anime is so sweet. It's so sweet, guys, that I think I have diabetes after watching it. That is how sweet it is.
Oh,
really shit. Good. If you're a fan of like romantic comedies and romance type stories, it definitely is one of the good ones I've seen in a while. So definitely say give it a watch.
What about Pringle? I'm kind of curious the kind of anime you watch.
Oh man, I actually watch all kinds. Like I said, I've been watching for a very long time, man. So I know like the tropes and shit. I've seen it constantly. Like I said, the punches in Yu Yu Hakusho. I'm like, man, this dude punching the same way every left and right jab, man. What's up? It's the punches, yeah, it's the same way. I seen that shit in Dragon Ball Z too. So I actually like right now I'm rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho because I want to do a review on that. But like since it's so long, I'm gonna like break it in like blocks and shit. Cause that's like 112 episodes. I'm like, oh hell no, I ain't gonna do like it's so like you can't condense that in 10 minutes. I mean you can, but damn, you probably might miss like a whole lot of things. That I'm watching that, and I actually like got done like Tokyo Ghoul because I was watching your reviews Heavenly, and I saw that. I was like, damn, the first episode, the first episode of Tokyo Ghoul, this bitch just like pretty much wanted to eat it, and I was like, damn, wow, shit. You know, these girls ain't loyal no more, man. They just want to eat your ass up now, literally, yo. Tokyo Ghoul, which I actually got up to speed with. I can say it's too slow for me, though, from what I'm seeing with this anime.
Yeah, it is pretty slow.
Yeah, it's pretty slow. Like you said, it's Tokyo Ghoul. I'm not really watching anything besides that right now. Besides, the ones I'm reviewing is like Parasite, which I'm really enjoying Parasite right now. Like honestly, like I feel like that's gonna be like one of the like the animes that did it for me for the year, because what I feel in Parasite is like because you have like this guy, this kid wakes up, Shinichi, and he wakes up and he's like Parasite tries to get up in his head, brain or whatever. So he manages to get to his arm, but he stops it with his headphone, probably some apples or something like that. He hooked that junk up, rolled it up, couldn't get to his arm and shit, and he reached to his hand only. And then he becomes, sooner or later, it starts getting into the point where like the Parasite becomes like, he becomes one with him basically, and it's like two different people in one. And like what I'm liking about it right now is that like I don't really get this much animes, but like the soundtrack, man, that thing is just fire, man. Like you don't find that in anime nowadays. It's like maybe you like the opening or there, but what I like, since this Parasite was like the manga ended in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that manga's old. So they actually remade it, and now like what I do like is that when they finish the manga, then you're gonna get like a completed anime, and then you won't like get like where they distort out of the manga. And then more than often times, like people always get mad about like it coming off the manga. I mean, like you just watch it as is, and you're gonna enjoy it probably, hopefully. And with this anime, since the manga's already done, you're already gonna get like the beginning to end. There's not gonna be no like some random ass, they in a beach resort and then all the females gotta wear some panties and bras, and that shit is in almost every romance anime and shit like that.
I eat that shit up. That's beautiful thing.
That fan service
episode. You need at least one beach or pool episode, guys.
Yeah,
just one. I think we deserve it.
Because I'm really enjoying that. It's like I just love the soundtrack. I actually downloaded that soundtrack because actually like it goes like I want to say that it puts you in the atmosphere of the anime. So then you're like, because like they had like these trap beats. Like I was like, whoa man, did they take like trap music, hip hop or something? And then you have like these composed piano keys. I'm like, God, what, man? Oh, that's my stuff right there. And then there's Death Parade, which I'm actually enjoying too. I feel like that's
Death
like one of those,
Parade.
Yeah, that one. I'm
kicking
kicking it with Death Parade right now. It's pretty good. Like I'm really enjoying that one. It's like one of those. I want to say like I just want to say a Saw kind of game, but then like they get to that bar, and in the bar that's like that gate, that middle portion where if they win the game, which is like fucked up. I'm like, God damn it, make a brother think that if he gonna die, imagine he go there, you're gonna be like, oh man, I can't play this game, dog. Like. Shit, man, I don't want to burn or some shit, you know what I'm saying? But then you don't want to like mess it up for that person or whatever. Which I'm actually enjoying that. There's also the Testament of Sister New Devil, which I always think that they like ruined the name or some shit like that. Like I think they tried to, which I'm enjoying it a little. Like I'm enjoying it. It has a lot of like fan service though, man. But like it has like I feel like the recent episode I saw is that it managed to cut a good 10 minutes of fan service, and then the other 10 minutes. You actually got like, oh wow, okay, action and shit like that. But other than that, nah, I think that's it pretty much for the animes. I'm watching One Piece, but man, that shit long as hell, man. Like it ain't till like the first 50. You just skip. You always know.
See you in 5 years when you're done with it.
Yeah, someone told me that thing is not ending in like 10 years. I was like, God damn, man, I'm not reviewing that shit. It's like it ain't for the first 5 minutes you get like. After the first 5 minutes, then you're actually getting a story. I was like, man, so they really, and then it's like what happens when like the anime catch up with the manga, so then they like do fillers, fillers, and since it's getting so close to it, they're probably gonna do fillers, or they're gonna like remake episodes, which I've seen in animes like that, where they actually give you the remade episode, like an episode, like episode 150 is now like episode 5 and some shit, and they literally get away with that.
The anime was called?
Which one?
The one you're talking about right now.
I'm talking about One Piece. The one before that is the Testament of Sister New Devil. Yeah.
Sister.
Yeah. It's not like episode 3. I mean, it's good for like you just watching it, but like it's like so much fan service, man. That shit like it's too much of that shit. But I mean, I don't think it's gonna distort too much out of it. Cause I mean, like if they can like manage to get it where they balance it out well. Then it's pretty good. Like if you have like a lot of fan service, but then at the same time you have the actual main plot, then it's good. But like sometimes the animes they go way the fuck out of there, and we don't even know where the hell it went, but it's gone there and shit. I think we'll get it like in a couple of episodes later, but like with like I said with Yu Yu Hakusho where it does the random, like, man, that shit is weird, man. Like, I'm rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, not to get a little off topic, but I'm rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, and there are parts where I just question it, and I think this is what happens with a lot of, anime logic and shit like that, where I'd be like, man, if Botan, I don't know if you guys know Botan, the Grim Reaper and shit, how is it that she don't have, like, how is it that she don't have, like, superpowers enough to be, like, doing spirit shotguns and shooting out of a finger and some shit like that? But I don't know. That shit like got me like, oh, okay. Grim Reaper, huh? That's it. That's all you do, flying a stick. That's it. You know what I'm saying? But those are actually the only few animes I'm watching. And there's Naruto, but yeah, I don't even know. They went to a tuning exam. I was like, what the fuck? I thought we were fighting Madara. What happened? I was like, that shit always was like, yeah, man. The filler is like, man. I mean, like, it's funny.
The manga's over now. They don't need to use filler.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But like, people are like,
that shit as long as they can, I guess.
Yeah, they'll eat that shit up though, man. Cause like, I used to always see that as like, man, I fucking hate fillers. But then you're watching the whole thing though. So I mean, like, but those are like the few anime episodes that I'm watching right now. I want to watch Berserk though. I want to finish that thing because I only watched like the first episode. Because that anime, like, it seems pretty interesting. It was kind of dark though. I'm like, god damn, I don't even think there's a sun in that shit. but I'm liking it so far with those animes that I'm watching. Other than that, nah, I'm not watching anything else. I might be watching a couple more in future, but that's it for now for me.
For me, I've been watching. I freaking binge watched the first season of Durarara, so now I'm on Durarara ×2.
Man, I have to rewatch that shit, man.
Yeah, that's a pretty good series. I like that series. It's definitely outside of the medium that I'm generally used to. And then I've also I've been watching Death Parade. That's on episode 3, I think, now. So Death Parade's pretty interesting too. And I like it with that series in the fact that, and Durarara does this too, the fact that they don't necessarily follow the traditional way of telling a story. Like it doesn't have a start, middle, and end. It'll like one episode will actually be before the first episode and actually show the events leading up to it, or it'll be the same episode from last episode but from a different perspective, like in Death Parade. So yeah, I like how these different series are taking these different directions. And I've been watching Alanoa Zero, which I thought that was basically Code Geass copy and pasted, but I'm still enjoying it though. But and then I've also been watching the one that I think I've been watching most recently that's definitely outside of the realm of what I generally look for. It's called Junketsu no Maria, or the English translation is The Virgin Witch Maria, and it's basically about this. Basically the way it sounds, her name's Maria. She's a virgin. She's a witch, and she's like, but she's like a good witch. She's like always healing people and stopping wars with her magic. And the archangel Michael, whatever, but it's actually a chick. I don't know why her name's Michael, but she comes down from heaven and says, you're interfering with the acts of men, and that us unhumans aren't supposed to interfere. We're just supposed to watch. It's just supposed to maintain the balance or whatever. And the humans are like, oh, we love Maria, she's protecting us. And then so God he stops Michael from taking Maria's magic, and so it's just really interesting. And it gets to the point where now she's like handicapped. So if she loses her virginity, she loses her powers, and she's and which is sucks because this guy just fell in love with her to save her, and now now you guys can't get it bumping because she'll lose her magic. But and I like how they have a lot of like they don't go overboard. Like there isn't I wouldn't necessarily call it fan service, but there's definitely a lot of sexual references in it that are you can anyway though. There are these succubus in there, and I forgot what, there's a different name for the male version of a succubus, but Maria, she creates succubus to seduce the warriors, the generals, to keep them from going to battle with each other or whatever. Be like, oh, if you abandon this battle, then we'll give you the night of your life or whatever. And so the one general, he was gay, so she had to create a male succubus, but she's a virgin, so she didn't know what a penis looked like, so she gave him all of the body parts that he needed, except for that there's just a big a cloud where it's supposed to be. Yeah. And so she sends him to seduce the gay guy or whatever, and he's like, well, hey, I'm not a gay succubus, I don't want to do that. And they're forcing him, and he's like a 14-year-old succubus looking thing, and it was really funny. But yeah, that's a really interesting anime I like watching. There's action in it, but it's definitely really highly focused on the comedy portions. But then also it does have its serious moments, but they're kind of like how basically the way Black Critic would say they're really cute moments in there. So, so yeah, that's what I like that show.
Shit.
It doesn't necessarily it's like it's like when anime has character. It doesn't use like it knows what it is and just commits to it. It's not like trying to be anything else. It's just its own show. Like it has different elements, but it doesn't try to take anything away. It's really original. It's definitely unlike anything. Like I can't necessarily say it's like this show or it's like this show. It's something that I've never really watched. So, but yeah, I like the Junketsu no Maria.
That's what I'm watching right now. I'm only watching one series. It's called Ino X Boku SS, or like Ino X Boku Secret Service. It's a supernatural romantic comedy with some action scenes in there. It's about this group of people who are actually like the descendants of ancient Japanese monsters. Like one guy's actually a nine-tailed fox, like part nine-tailed fox or something. So
I heard that was shit, Naruto, baby.
They're all living in this house, and there's these people. They all live together in order to protect each other from other people or whatever. I've just started. I'm only in like episode. Getting ready to start episode 5, and it's pretty. You can tell it's obviously romance driven, but there was I think maybe 1 or 2 action scenes that they had, which were pretty cool. So I'm enjoying it decently so far. I think I'm planning on watching Gatchaman Crowds as well. As soon as I finish this, but I think that's pretty much it for what I'm watching. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in this day and to this day, tonight, or whenever you see this.
Look at it.
Let's get your closing statements from. Let's have Pringle go first.
Okay. New versus old. Get it right there while you can. But yeah, I appreciate y'all having me for this podcast. Really do, man. Right here, man. But yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks. Appreciate it, y'all. But new versus old, check it out, man. Rewatch Yu Yu Hakusho. Rewatch that shit. You're going to be like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah. But that's all I got.
Where can people find you at?
PringleTheOne. I don't know, man. Y'all got like little description. Y'all got like your YouTube channel right there. But you could put me on YouTube, PringleTheOne, hashtag PringleTheOne. Got Twitter, PringleTheOne, everything, PringleTheOne. I'm right. You could Google me, PringleTheOne, and you'll find me right there. But yeah. I don't know if you guys want to put that link in the description below.
It'll be in the description.
Yeah. All right, yeah. So there you go.
What you got, Heavenly?
Well, basically, what the argument I think that we wrapped up is that if like old anime is there's a lot of good old anime, there's a lot of bad old anime, and then vice versa for new anime. But with the newer generation, there's a lot more anime. So if you want to find that quality stuff, it's out there. You gotta look for it. So, but yeah, I mean. There's still good anime. Anime isn't dying. There isn't like Cowboy Bebop isn't the last good anime of all time. There's in fact I think plenty of anime out like in the past year or two and coming out recently that are better than Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, they're better than Cowboy Bebop. I'm saying. Yeah, you gotta look for that stuff. There's good anime and there will continue to be good anime from here on till probably the end of time. So no worries about losing the quality of anime. There is a lot of oversaturation of a lot of stuff, but the quality stuff is always going to be there. And the same as any genre, there's always going to be the good stuff around there. So yeah.
Critic.
Well said. I'm
a poet. I know.
All you need is love. All you need is love. No, this was a good topic. I'm glad that we got our little special guest here. Go check out his channel. Once this video is up, there will be a link in the description for it. I'm glad that because I'm Black's not here. I know he's gonna probably watch this video and be like, oh,
yeah.
Okay, that's how you want it. Just gonna put like a big old ass as his profile. Be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, guys. This is my face, but. Yeah, had a lot of fun, a little tired, but all good. It's all good. That's all I got to say.
All right.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in today. As far as the episodes being on iTunes, for the people that have asked, they're coming. They're having a little issue with the people that provide our feed, so they will be on iTunes and Stitcher Radio as soon as possible. But as for right now, you can stream it for free on YouTube. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. I'd like to thank our guest, PringleTheOne, for coming on this evening. And we'll see you guys hopefully next week.